Welcome back, artists. Congratulations, this is the end of the school year and we get to make art, which is awesome. I am Miss Potter.
I'm Mrs. Rudd.
And we are here to give you 6 really cool summer art activities that you can do with things from your home. And so these will be fast little lessons. It would be great if maybe you took notes or took some pictures or sort of made art along with us, but we're gonna give you lots of ideas to keep you making art over the summer. So our very first lesson today has to do with recycled materials. Now, when I teach art in my classroom, this is one of my favorite lessons because everything is very, very cheap. It's in your recycling bin. This is my little robot friend, and I made him with boxes and tape. And this, do you know what this was for? I found this in my sister's recycling from blowing up water balloons, and I thought it made excellent robot hair. And then we have some cardboard tubes, which I'm sure you have, and they're very, very handy to have around.
Looks like he's got spaghetti coming out of his head.
It does look like he has spaghetti coming out of his head. And I glued on some little eyes and a nose to make him look like a real person.
That's a big word. What's that word recycle mean?
So recycling means we have these items that can be reused. They're not trash. They can be turned into something else. In art, we call that treasure hunting because recycled materials can be turned into anything, and it's all about how you put them together. The other thing I made was a silly little rocket ship because I wanted to play with a rocket ship and I thought it looked like fun. But to make any sort of recycled sculpture, you just have to dig around your house and find some things that you have that you can use. Tubes, super handy. Maybe you have egg cartons, cardboard, things like this. I found this cool little box from something, and it had this neat little opening. I could do something cool with that. If you ever come across bubble wrap, I mean, there's a million things you can do with bubble wrap. I would hang on to that one always. And when you have boxes, even if they're kind of broken, they can be taped or glued back together and turned into so many things. I was actually thinking about cutting this piece off and turning this into a little house for some of my toys by gluing in cardboard levels and stairs and furniture, things like that.
Do you think Chewbacca would fit in there?
Oh, I think Chewbacca would fit in there. Oh my gosh. Cool. I just got a lot of ideas from that. So it's all about your materials and different things you have and how you attach them together. That's the most important thing. So attachments are when you take 2 pieces of whatever and find a way to stick them together. And there's a lot of materials you can use to attach things. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Tape.
Tape. Tape is excellent. There's lots of different kinds of tape too. We got duct tape. This is painter's tape. I have this because I like to paint, and it's not necessarily the stickiest tape, but it gets the job done. Even your basic Scotch tape. Any tape works. That's how, one way I could have done my rocket ship is take my 2 pieces of cardboard and I could just tape them together, right? That's one way I could attach something together. Something else I could use are rubber bands. These can hold really, really well. If I wanted these guys to stick together, I can just take my rubber band and they're attached together. Now, sometimes you learn with rubber bands that you try and attach something really big and it goes snap. So you might want to use rubber bands for smaller things that you're going to put together. Also, here's something pretty cool. If I wanted to attach this tube to this carton, but I wanted it to be able to maybe move around still, do you have any ideas of what I might be able to use?
String.
String.
A brad.
A brad. What could I use to get a little hole here to fit the string through?
Scissors.
I could use scissors.
A needle.
Could poke a little hole, a needle. You have good ideas. I also have a really cool hole puncher. Boom, I made a little hole. If you're gonna make holes with scissors, you just have to be really careful because you don't wanna hurt yourself. I like to open it and just kind of do a little twisty twist. Maybe do it on the desk. Sometimes that helps. Then you have a little opening. String comes in, I mean, there's a lot of different pieces of string you can find in your house. Even when old jewelry breaks, sometimes that string can be reused. And when you're using string as an attachment, it's important to be able to tie a knot. That's how you're gonna keep it together. So if I wanted to string these guys over here, boom. See, they can be attached and I can still move them around. So if I wanted my robot to have movable arms, I could have done something like that, because sometimes they don't want to be stiff. Sometimes they want to be bendy. And I can double tie my knot right there, and it's all put together. So knot tying is kind of important in sculptures. My favorite attaching material, which is something that you might have to ask an adult for help with, is the most famous hot glue gun. As an artist, how many times have you used a hot glue gun, Miss Red?
Let's ask how many times I've burnt myself with the hot glue gun.
They kind of go.
That would be a million.
Yes.
Yep.
There is a learning curve with the hot glue gun. But in my classroom, I start teaching this as early as 3rd grade so that kiddos can really start getting used to it. It's always optional. I'm there to assist. This silvery part, mine's not plugged in, so I can touch this and it's okay. But this is sort of where there's a lot of heat. This is where the heating mechanism is. So this is where you're most likely to burn yourself. If you're just using the hot glue gun and you're staying away from this area, you're pretty good. Sometimes the hot glue gun makes strings, and those can be kind of hot.
Yeah.
So use this with an adult, but I have to tell you, artists, hot glue is just one of the best things around. It's how I got most of my little pieces stuck together over here.
They glue on really fast. It
Really
dries
fast.
almost instantly.
And most materials can be hot glued, except for really thin plastic, because
It'll
it
melt.
melts and it smells bad, and you don't want to live that life.
Right.
So there's some ideas for how you can make a recycled sculpture using pretty much anything you have around the house. I took pictures of these, and I'm pretty sure they're available on the YouTube channel, so you can re-look at some of these material lists if that's something you want to use. So if you're a sculpture person, I suggest you check it out. I'm gonna go home later and turn this into a really cool little house. I'm really excited about that now. I even might just cut it here so it can open and close.
Ooh, a door.
Yes, and I can do like a string and make a little twisty tie so it can stay locked in place like a little secret cave.
Ooh, nice.
Yes, so there's your first lesson. Miss Red, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to be talking about printing. And printing is a way to make multiple images out of the same object. And it just so happens that I brought a lot of objects with me. So we're going to talk first about how to make a stamp pad from something that you might have at home. How many of you have a sponge in your kitchen? Okay, these are really cheap sponges that I got at the dollar store.
Ooh,
and they come in packs of like 10. Okay, so they're great to use for stamp pads.
So you could have a bunch of different colors?
Absolutely,
Excellent.
absolutely. I'm going to use 2 colors today. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take some water and I'm going to...
But Miss Red, that looks like coffee.
It's water. It's just water. So I'm just going to put a little bit of water on the sponges just so they're damp. You don't want them soaking wet, because then it'll make a big mess. So here I have my damp sponges. And then I'm going to do some black paint, because that will be really easy for the folks at home to see.
Yes, and I feel like black ink is pretty common because you could use it on any color of paper, white paper,
That's right.
cardboard, anything.
You can use it on black paper, though.
You couldn't use it on black paper,
Right.
it's true.
So I'm just going to squeeze some paint out, maybe a big old tablespoon, heaping tablespoon. And then I'm going to take a piece of cardboard, and this is just from a box. I just cut these little pieces just from a box that I found in my garage. And I'm going to take the cardboard and I'm going to spread the paint. And this is just paint that I got at Hobby Lobby. You know those little bottles, I think?
Okay.
This is acrylic paint. They come in smaller bottles too. So I'm going to spread that paint right over the sponge. And it sort of looks like a stamp pad.
It looks very even.
It is. You just like butter, like on toast.
It looks very satisfying.
Yeah, it's awesome. So then I'm going to go with red. So I'm going to make a red stamp pad.
Well, red is a special color.
I love red.
It's one of the primary colors.
That's right. It is one of the primary colors. So I'm going to take another size of cardboard, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to spread this paint out like butter on a piece of toast. Oh, and then I'm going to need a piece of paper. That's what I forgot, a piece of paper.
I have some extra paper for you.
Great. So, and again, you probably want to be using something that you can find at home. If you have paper, that's wonderful. If you have a sketchbook, if you have a blank envelope, if you have paper bags, remember we talked about that during our last lesson. You can use paper bags from the grocery store for all kinds of things, okay? All right, now that we have our stamp pads ready, I'm going to talk about some things that you can print with, okay? Does anybody know what this is?
That looks like a pool noodle.
It is a pool noodle, and a pool noodle makes a wonderful stamping tool because you can get a perfect circle.
It looks like a donut.
Another cool thing, and my daughter came up with this idea last night. I was like, I didn't even know that. You can squish the pool noodle to make it different. Yes, to change the shape. I thought that was a great idea.
It looks like a peanut.
It does. So you can squish the pool noodle to make an oval shape, okay?
Very cool.
All right, the other things that you can print with is you can take a paper towel tube or a toilet paper tube.
Cardboard tubes.
Cardboard tubes are great for art projects. And you can cut a piece off. Oops, I keep dropping the dropsies today.
I know, it's one of those days. It's because it's the end of school.
I know. So you can also do a circle with the tube, and you can also, again, squish it into shapes like I used it over here.
Would you print with the edge or with the side?
You can do both.
Oh.
You can do both. It's called experimenting. So we could print with that. I'm also going to be doing a little bit of printing with cardboard. So why don't we start with the cardboard? And the reason I like cardboard is because I love lines.
Oh, yeah.
And you can print all different types of lines with cardboard. You can do straight lines. If you put smaller pieces of cardboard together and print them diagonally, you can get zigzag lines.
Ooh, zigzag lines.
Okay, so here I have my black stamp pad, and I'm going to use the edge. Now the cool thing about this piece of cardboard is it has two edges. It has a short edge, and it also has a long edge. You can print with both. So I'm going to start with my short edge, and I'm going to use it just like a stamp pad. I'm going to take my cardboard, press it down, and then I'm just going to press that edge. Look at that line.
Oh, that's a nice
that
line.
you got there, okay? You can make it longer if you want
a little
to.
flower stem.
Yep. You can print in any direction you'd like.
Cardboard.
I think Mrs. Potter just gave me some inspiration.
I think we're giving each other some inspiration today.
So you just print whatever kinds of lines you would like to. And there's something very special that lines can make when you put them together. When a line closes, you can make a shape. So there's all kinds of shapes that you can create.
I bet you can make patterns too.
You absolutely can. So I could make a square. Then I could make another square. I like this because it's kind of ending up looking like a pueblo almost.
I gotta
A
tell
building,
you, it's
adobe.
very great to watch. I could watch you stamp that for a while.
Right. So you can print whatever shapes and lines and patterns that you want.
It's almost like you're drawing an outline.
Right. Okay. So then, here's my pool noodle. I'm going to do the red stamp pad this time.
Miss Red, why
Yes.
would you want to make a stamp pad instead of just squeezing some paint onto the plate?
Well, it'd probably get all muddy and black.
A little like goopy.
Right, it'd be like a darker color that I might not want to use. But if I wanted it to be a dark color, that would be a good thing to do. Just maybe take some red and then a little bit of black, and then I might be able to get some shading.
Okay.
But for now, I'm just going to take the red, and then I'm going to take the pool noodle, and I want to press down. And what you get is a great little circle.
It's like a little donut flower. Those would make fun goggles.
Oops. Kind of looks like I messed up, but I kind of like that.
I like that too.
Makes it more
We're
dimensional.
gonna call that a beautiful oops.
Yes, it's a beautiful oops. So there I have my red pool noodles. You can also use something as simple as a pencil. Okay, a pencil has an eraser. That's a great printing tool.
Oh.
So again, printing is when you get a multiple of an image or an object simply by pressing it into the paper or paint or ink over and over again. Now maybe, if I wanted to, I could do some little flower texture in the middle here. You know how they have those little pollen in there?
Oh, it almost looks like a little smiley face.
Right. Now, I'm gonna try my toilet paper tube.
Oh, yes. Bet it makes a really skinny little shape.
Right, and again, I'm pressing it into the pad, my black stamp pad, and I press it on the paper. So you get this really kind of cool oval shape, depending on how much you bend. Oh, and I'm gonna do that bent pool noodle shape, squishy. I like that idea. Maybe on this one, I'll do the squish.
Ooh.
So you can come up with all kinds of compositions. This is a house, can you see? And this is a really cool pattern right here.
Did you make that?
No, my daughter made this.
Oh, well, she's an amazing artist.
She pretty much is. So then this one was mine from last night. And another thing that you can do with these, especially if you print with just the black stamp pad, is you can add color. If you have crayons, you can use crayons to add color in any of the shapes that you made. So maybe if I want to color in where this zigzag is, that just gives it a little pop, you know? Whatever materials you have at home to add color will work.
Oh, that's lovely.
Thank you.
I like printing. It's very relaxing.
I do too. And it goes pretty quickly. So I have a bunch of other different things. So I have a marker that has this really cool sort of oval shape. A marker cap will work great for printing too.
Oh, yeah.
I have, let's see, what else do I have? All kinds of markers and things. I could even print with a fork if I wanted to.
Like Forky?
Yes, like Forky. So just to make some cool lines.
Ooh.
Just be sure, for the viewers at home, when you're sort of hunting around for objects, you want to make sure that it's okay with an adult.
Yes.
You don't want to print anything that nobody wants paint on, okay? So you just want to make sure that you're asking permission in order to print with these materials.
That is a good idea.
And then there's rubber stamps too. I brought some rubber stamps. Those are fun to print with too.
Well, that looks like fun.
Yes.
I want to go home and do some printing now. Well, next, I'm going to show you how to make little paper rooms.
Oh, that's cute.
I like making 3D things, and I really like decorating my house. That's one of my favorite things to do, and rearranging things and moving my toys from one place to the other. I don't know. I think it's super fun. So I made this little 3D room, and it's all out of different paper scraps and supplies. And I wanted to show you a few different paper techniques that you can use. And it can be with any type of paper, really. I have this drawing paper that I'm going to use, but you could use it with anything that you had available. Miss Rudd, will you hold this right here so we can see it a little bit better? I made instructions for how to turn your little rectangle paper into a 3D paper room. Because personally for me, I need to see how things fold and where they get cut to be able to understand. So if I wanted to make a little 3D paper room, you'll notice the first thing I need to do is turn my paper into a square. And that's pretty easy to do. All I have to do is take my top edge and fold it down to my bottom edge so that they match like this. Now artists, it is much easier to fold on a table than in the air, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So when you do this, fold on the table. And then, see this solid black line right here means cut. So we have a fold symbol and a cut symbol, so it's easier to understand. And now I have a square.
That's a cool trick.
We could just make all sorts of shapes all day, but I digress. Next, I want to fold my square into fourths so they look like 4 smaller squares. So I'm going to take my top edge and fold it down to my bottom edge.
That's sounding a little like math.
It is a little bit like math, but just don't tell anybody.
Okay.
And I'm going to open it up and turn it and fold my other edge to my bottom edge. So we're making like a cross in the middle of our paper. That's important. It gives you lines to cut on instead of just guessing. So when I open it, I have all my folds. Now, see this solid black line right here? Do you remember what that means?
I think it means cut.
You were correct. I'm going to cut it. Am I going to cut all of them? No, or I would just have a bunch of tiny little squares. So I'm going to cut this bottom one to the center like this. So it looks like it has little legs. Okay? Now watch the magic trick. I take one little square, I put it on top of the other, and that's how I get it to pop up. Cool. All I would need to add is some glue right there, and I have my little shape. Thank you, Miss Red.
Sure.
I could have multiples of them. Like I have this other one here. I could glue them together, and I could have room side by side. I could put it on top like this. Now, how did I do it? Like this. And I could have all the walls and the ceiling in my little room that I could use. You could even try stacking some on top of each other for different stories. Or you could put them next to each other to make one really long, giant room like that. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could use them.
Could you put them back to back and then put like a door in between?
You totally could do that.
Cool.
You could make a whole little house with all of these different rooms. You could just stack, 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 stack. That's how you make it. But the really fun part is adding all the things on the inside. So if you'll notice, do you see any 3D little objects in my room?
I see bed.
So this is a really fun little trick. You can make pop-up furniture, and you can make little 3D things to put in your little 3D room. I'm going to show you that little trick next. I have something for you to hold.
All right.
Okay. Let's see. I need a smaller piece of paper. So I am going to cut this and make it smaller. Paper's fun that way. Whatever you start with, you can cut it and make it smaller and smaller and smaller until it's the right size that you need. I just like to keep folding in half and cutting to make smaller pieces. And depending on the size of paper you use is sort of how big you'll want it to be. You'll just have to kind of use what you got. So I think this is good because I still want you to be able to see it. So to make a little pop-up, we need a fold. A fold is what allows your paper to pop. So whatever you have, you fold it in half. There's a lot of folding on this one. It's a good skill to get used to. So you have this fold right here. And what I do is I make 2 parallel lines. I cut 2 parallel lines on the fold with some space in between. It makes a little tab. See this little tab?
It doesn't parallel mean that they never ever meet?
They never ever meet.
Super straight.
They only stay next to each other because if they touch each other, you'll just cut a whole shape off. And you don't want that. We want it to stay there. We just want it to be a little tab. So we take our little tab and we're going to fold it up like this. See that? Now watch my hands because this is the magic of pop-up and it's kind of hard to explain. But I have my little fold now. I'm going to open my piece of paper and I'm going to use my thumb on the back here to push it up and pop it up like that. And I can reinforce my folds by squishing them down, but it makes these cool little pop-up shapes, which could be a table or a chair or a bench or a bookshelf. I mean, anything you want. If you'll notice, you can even make different little levels too. You can make pop-ups on top of pop-ups. If I just fold this back the way it is, I can cut those 2 parallel lines on my fold just like I did before and fold my little tab. I had a student once make a cool little birthday cake this way and they just kept making layers up. And I'm going to pop it out with my thumb. Or it could be even its own little house with these different little stories.
Very cool.
See that? You can even turn it this way and it can go up and down. So again, you can experiment and play with these and make little 3D spaces of all different kinds. Now to decorate, thank you. This one I can hold, but there's lots of materials you can use and find to decorate your little paper rooms. There's paper scraps. Maybe you have old photographs lying around. Again, ask your adults if this is okay, if they can use it. Or magazine cuttings. I have this really cool magazine that I get every month called Ceramics Monthly because I love pottery. And I find all sorts of cool little pictures I can cut out. I even cut out one of their little vases to put in my little room because I thought it was really pretty. And I use little paper scraps to make little books in a bookshelf. I found this fabric scrap and it was about to get thrown away. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can use that for a comforter for my bed. And so I did. I even found little ribbons to make as curtains. I mean, really, you can get super creative with these little guys. Oh my gosh, idea. I could use that little house that I was talking about making earlier, and I could fill it with my little paper rooms so that Chewbacca had a fun little bed to sit in.
Cool.
All of these fun projects can influence each other. So I suggest you just play around with paper and see what you can do. So that is how you can make little paper rooms and little paper pop-ups. Let's see. I'll leave this up for a minute so you can get some ideas on what to do. And Miss Rudd is going to show us a very cool technique of making art with shadows.
Yes.
In order to do that, I need to get a little light ready for her. And
That's
we need
right.
to do some shimmying around over here.
Now, the only reason that we're actually using a light is because we're inside. This is a project that's really fun to do on the outside because you're going to use the sun as your light source. We're kind of having this tape does not want to stick. I'm just going to use this tape.
Okay. We have a really bright light too. It's like we have the sun down here.
Yes. We had to make do with what we had.
That's right.
So you're going to need a really bright light. And like I said, it's better to use the sun.
Are those your shadow arts that you're putting up?
Yes, this is an example of what we're doing. This is called shadow drawing.
That's awesome.
See?
It looks like a dinosaur.
It is a dinosaur. It's this dinosaur,
Oh.
the Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's also this dinosaur.
I don't know what that one's called.
I don't either.
But
I think my daughter knows, but I don't know.
I know one of you out there knows.
And then I used a Star Wars figure to do the person that's right in the center.
They look so cool and like tall and elongated.
Right, and that's, if you notice when you step outside, that's something that happens with shadow, depending on what time of day it is.
Oh, yes.
That's right, so as the sun sort of rises, your shadow can get longer.
So no matter, you could have different drawings from the same object.
Absolutely.
Different times of day.
That's right, you can keep the drawing outside, and then you can go out later and draw some more.
Very cool.
So what I'm going to show you right now is the process of doing the shadow drawing.
Pretend Miss Potter is the sun.
Right, and also pretend Mrs. Rudd is outside.
Yes.
So what you're going to do is you take a piece of paper, again with the paper, and can everybody see my shadow? It's also really fun to make, shadow puppets.
Oh, shadow puppets are awesome. They remind me of camping.
Yes. So I'm going to take a piece of paper. And I'm going to pick one of my dinosaurs here. This is a dinosaur that we call Elvis for obvious reason. He's got this really cool little...
Nice hairdo.
Yeah. I'm sure all the scientists out there could know what this dinosaur is called, but
yes.
I do not. So when you're doing this outside, you're going to have it on a flat surface, and you're going to stand your toys or stuffed animals, whatever you're going to be drawing around, right on the paper, okay? So you usually have it like this. And then you see the shadow cast this way, as if it was standing on the ground. I want everybody to see what I'm doing, so we're going to do it this way. Okay, so can you see the Elvis dinosaur?
His hair stands out pretty
His
strong.
hair does stand out. So what you do is you're going to take a pencil, and you're just going to draw around the shadow. You're going to draw the outline of the shadow as best as you can. So I'm going to go around his really cool hairdo.
Boom.
There's one.
It looks like he's waving at you.
So then, again, Star Wars figures. Use what you have at home. Maybe if you want a person or a Jawa next to your dinosaur, again, you take your pencil and you outline.
I wonder what happens to these when they're further away from the paper.
I don't know, that's a good prediction. I wonder what everybody thinks about that. I would predict they get bigger.
I would think they
We
would
can
get
check
taller,
after
maybe.
I'm done drawing. Yeah, they get taller.
You could do all the Star Wars figures.
You could.
We can have a Star Wars party.
Yeah. Because we just had May the 4th, right?
That's right.
So when you're finished and you have all of the figurines that you want on your paper arranged on your paper, the next thing you would do is you would go over your pencil lines. And thank you, son.
You don't want the sun in your eyes anymore?
The sun. So I would just take whatever kind of, you could do this with a black marker, you could do it with a ballpoint pen, whatever sort of drawing material you have at home. I would go around, copying over those pencil lines. Got to get his cool little things on his helmet. And you want to take your time doing this because, believe it or not, there's a lot of detail in shadow. So here's my outline. And then all you need to do is you just need to color them. So in the art world, this is kind of called a silhouette.
A silhouette is when it's all black.
Yep.
And you're just seeing the shape of an object.
That's right. So you would just color in every nook and cranny of the drawing with black paint, black pen. If pencil was all that you had, that's okay too. You can color in with pencil. Magic markers. But if you're using a Sharpie, one thing I'm going to caution about is that a lot of times Sharpies go right through the paper. So can you see how there's a black spot there?
I do.
You don't want that happening on like your kitchen table or anything like that. So you just want to make sure you have something like a newspaper or a paper bag or even another piece of paper or a notebook underneath.
That would go with a lot of different art materials.
When you're using a Sharpie.
Well, that
So
looks
that's
like fun.
shadow drawing.
I like shadow drawing.
And it's fun to be outside in the summer, and it's great to do art outside. And I also have another outside little mini activity that I would like to talk about.
I would love to hear about it.
Sure. What this is, and it's called chalk painting, okay? So chalk painting uses water and cornstarch.
Are you about to make your own paint that is also chalk?
Yes, I'm going to make my own paint that is also chalk.
I'm so excited.
I know, it's so great.
Gosh.
All right, so I have 3 cups of water in this container. So what I'm gonna add is a cup, and I'm just gonna eyeball it. Ooh, making messes.
As artists do.
That's right. Then I'm gonna take some food coloring. Just gonna squeeze it in there. And this is green.
That's my favorite color.
And you can actually just mix a little bit of paint. I'm just gonna make a lot of green paint because we're short on time here. And you just mix it. And then you find a container, pour it in.
So does it start as paint, and then when you put it on the ground, it turns to chalk?
Yes, that's the cool
Oh.
thing about it. And you can go out like out on your patio. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it, but I'll do it on my painting. Yeah, it's a little light. So what you can do is you can just use the paint and just paint on like a sidewalk or a driveway or
And
something
just
like
add
that.
like a bunch of food coloring of whatever
Yes,
ones.
exactly.
I bet you could do some color mixing.
You could
See
even
what
use
colors you could make.
pool noodles and print with them.
Printing. Oh man, all the things.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay.
I like that. I have another outdoor activity for you artists, and that is bubble painting. So bubble painting is super cool. If you have already mixed up bubbles, then you can just add food coloring into that and paint with it. But if you're like me and you didn't have any bubbles or a bubble wand, then you have to make your own because you're an artist and you have to make your things. This is my bubble painting that I did earlier. You splatter the bubbles. I even pressed my bubble wand a couple times, and I thought it was a really cool sunsetty background. So then I painted some road and some mountains on top of it. But what's great about these papers is they get super colorful and interesting. So you could cut them out and glue them and use them to maybe decorate a paper room. You could use it as a background, or you could just leave it the way it is. So to make your bubble solution, I made red, yellow, and blue. They're in these chili containers because we eat a lot of chili. You will need soap. Any kind of soap will work. However, color of soap is important. This Dawn soap is blue. So when I put my yellow food coloring into it to make it look like yellow paint, it turned green because blue and yellow mix together and make green. Learn from my mistakes. It still worked. It still looks yellow, but in the container, it looked really green. So you could also use clear dish liquid too, and that would work. I wrote down on here the recipe, and it's 2 cups of soap to 1 cup of water. And when we use that in a ratio, that means 2 to 1. So, I mean, you could even do 4 cups of soap and 2 cups of water if you wanted a bunch of bubbles, something like that. But you need a container of some kind. This will be my bubble container. So I made a label. I have my water and my soap. I'm gonna make a quick little concoction for you. And the very special ingredient that is helpful is some kind of vegetable oil. This helps keep the bubbles from bursting. My oil's in here. Doesn't want to come out. Let's see if I can get it. Oh, I got it. And you don't need a lot. It's just to help preserve your bubbles, to keep them afloat a little bit longer so they make it to your painting. So I have my little measuring device over here. I've never cooked like this before. Okay, so I have my 1 cup of water that I'm gonna put in my little container and 2 cups of soap. And it seems like a lot of soap. That's because you're making bubbles and you need a lot of soap. So you can see.
Because soap makes the bubbles.
Soap makes the bubbles. And the water just kind of helps dilute it so that you can blow the bubbles a little bit easier. Right, and you're just gonna kind of squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And it's nice too because then your bubbles smell really good, depending on what kind of dish soap you use. Okay, so there's 1. I feel like a mad scientist concocting these recipes.
And you can use whatever color you want.
Awesome. Any kind of liquid coloring will work too. Okay. I'm gonna try not to make a big giant mess all over everything. But again, artists, you know, we do that sometimes. And then I have my vegetable oil, which is just a little bit. It's like a little teaspoon. Like I said, just enough to make it from bursting everywhere. Okay. And you're gonna shake it up. Get it all mixy. You can see it's very, very soapy. That's good. It'll make a lot of bubbles. And when you put in your food coloring, artist, I think we'll also go green. We'll just go green today. You want to put in some drops, but I learned you don't want to put in too much or it changes the texture of your bubbles and they don't work as well. So we have our green. We're going to do this. And you can see it start to change colors. I always really like this part. You can do some color mixing here too. Remember, if all you have on hand are red, yellow, and blue, you can make any color you want. I made my bubble wand out of wire because that's what I had, but you can use Plastic straws, those can be bent and be made into bubble blowers. Or you can even cut out the bottom of a plastic cup and it makes really big giant bubbles, which is pretty fun. Something that I found out is when I blow my bubbles, I like to sort of blow them like down below, but you can also blow them up here like this. And as you go, you might not be able to see my bubbles, but when you blow them, they make these little rings that show up everywhere. I'll use this one that I did yesterday because I added enough color to it. My red one is very red and goopy.
So it needs to be really dark.
You want it to be pretty dark so it can show up. You want to be able to even see the color inside of your little bubble wand. That helps. And you can blow and it makes little splatters. And if you see, it's kind of starting to look like little fireworks over here. If you blow like really hard, they pop like that. I kind of use mine like a print, like you did earlier, to make some little guys over there. And then they make these cool little drippies, which is super fun also. So it's just sort of a fun way to experiment, and you get to blow bubbles, which is always fun too. So something that you can try out. And remember, you can just add food coloring to already made bubbles if that's what you have. Now I'm also being covered in food coloring.
Another way I've seen bubbles used too is you take a straw and you blow into the, could I borrow the plastic straw?
Oh yeah.
And this is the way I used to do it. You have to be really careful to make sure that you're not going the wrong way because it's not going to taste very good. So you just need your paper. You take your straw.
She's braver than I.
You want to get a heap of bubbles.
Oh, and then you're going to press the paper right on top of it.
Because remember, I'm all about printing.
Yep, printing.
Let me get my hair out of the way first here.
We did this in ceramics with glaze. It's paint for ceramics, and you make cool little bubble patterns that way. What an excellent idea. This is why you share ideas, because I would never thought of it on my own.
So you get these cool
Awesome.
bubble prints, and you can use all the different colors.
Just hold it up again.
Oh.
You could layer colors on top of colors and bubbles on top of bubbles.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really cool to do it in sort of like a flat, it's almost like a meat tray with a little bit of the bubble solution. And then you get these giant heaps of bubbles.
Oh,
and
that's
then you
really
just
fun.
lay the paper down like that.
Excellent.
Can I try the blue? Is the
You
blue
can
dark
try
too?
the blue. So with the blue, I used a kind of watercolor
Okay.
coloring. So you'll see it has a different sort of texture to it. It's like a little bit thicker. Oh, that straw had a little bit of red on it. I bet it makes a little bit of purple. She's on a roll. I used to do this with my water and milkshakes when I was
got a little
kid,
bit.
and my parents did not like it.
I know, but it's great with bubbles.
It seems kind of like a fast maneuver too, because the bubbles don't stay up for very long. It's very
There, cool.
Oh, fun.
Yep, you kind of get the purple in there.
Awesome.
So that's just another way of bubble
Thank you, Miss
painting.
Bud, for the assist.
Sure.
Bubble painting is super fun.
That's right. Okay.
I think we have one more cool art activity
I do
for
think
you.
we have one more cool activity, and it's also kitchen related. So let's get the bubbles.
We'll just leave this in my mess zone. over
All
here.
right.
Just like my house normally.
And could I borrow your cup that you had?
The measuring cup?
Yes.
Yes. It has some bubbles in it,
Okay.
but there it is.
Okay. I'm going to talk about, a lot of people know about salt dough.
Yes.
And that uses, in the recipe, it uses flour.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of hard to come by flour lately.
Yeah.
So we might want to save the flour for, actually making food.
Good choice, always.
So something that I have a lot of, because I do the chalk painting a lot in my backyard, is cornstarch.
Cornstarch seems kind of like a magic ingredient today.
Yeah, and it doesn't really taste good.
No.
And you only use a little bit for baking. So I always end up with like a giant container of cornstarch,
So it needs a
wondering what I
purpose
can do with
anyways.
it. That's right.
Oh.
So what you're going to need to do, and you need a couple of things. You need a saucepan because you need to cook it.
You need to heat it up?
Yeah, you need to heat it up.
Okay.
So you're going to need a saucepan. You need a half a cup, so half of one of these, of the cornstarch, okay? Half a cup of cornstarch. You're going to need 1 cup of baking soda, and then you put 3/4 of a cup of water, and you put it in the saucepan, and then you cook it over medium heat.
Okay.
And so you gotta stir it, and I think it takes about 5 minutes, and you're stirring it and stirring it and stirring it. And what I noticed when I was making it is like, the perfect consistency looks like mashed potatoes. It looks exactly like mashed potatoes. So when you have the consistency, the thickness of mashed potatoes, you're good to go.
Well, when I think sculptures, I think of mashed potatoes all the time.
Right. So what happens is you end up with this beautiful,
that's really good looking
homemade clay.
Oh, I love
That's
clay.
fun to play with, and it feels really good in your hands.
Does it dry out?
It dries out a little. You want to kind of keep it damp, and something I do is I sort of make my hands a little
Get a little bit of
damper,
water on
a
them.
little water on them, and get it, because I made this last night, because I wanted it to be nice and fresh.
Yes.
So there's a number of different things that you can do with it. Of course, you can do the thing you do with clay, and that's to build stuff with it. So my daughter made this butterfly, but I picked it up too soon, and half his wings broke off.
Oh.
So I was very sad about that.
It's
but
a
we're
little
gonna
fragile.
Right, it's a little fragile.
But you know, clay
Right.
is fragile as it is.
So you can build things with it, butterflies, animals, whatever you want. You can also make what's called an impression, okay? And you know,
an impression?
It's kind of like printing. I'm all about the printing today. So you just want a surface to kind of roll on, and you can use a pencil to roll your dough.
Or you could feel like you're baking a little cake or something.
You
with
could
a little
use
rolling
a
pin.
rolling pin to roll your dough.
Ooh.
So you would roll out your dough until it gets, kind of thin, maybe the thickness of a pencil. That's always good. You can use cookie cutters and cut shapes out if you wanted to. I have this kind of like star cookie cutter, so I could take that and I'd get the star shape. If you poke a hole in it, you could make like a garland or a bead. And I love these bamboo skewers. This is another kitchen item that some people might have at home. These make the best holes for beads.
Oh, that'd make a nice little gift.
Yeah, so if here's this like a little star pendant. I actually made some beads on this last night. So
With the dough?
With the dough. So if you're making beads, you just would make a little ball. And then I put some texture on it. I just took the end of the bamboo skewer and I just poked it and made these cute little circles.
Do you think when you made your dough, you could put food coloring in it?
Absolutely. You can make different color dough. There's all kinds of art to make in the kitchen. I did a bigger bead, like this.
Oh, you can make a whole necklace.
I know.
You got string out for your recycling
That's right.
sculptures.
So this is a really nice, inexpensive way to make clay. So to make an impression, you can also go on a treasure hunt outside.
Many treasures outside.
Or, and I cut a circle with my, I want to see if this works. Maybe I can use this. Cut a circle. Hey, there you go.
Oh.
I got a circle.
Oh, that's a good
The
pendant.
shape of it. Right, that's a good pendant shape, right? You don't even need who needs cookie cutters when you have paper towel tubes? So what I'm gonna do is I went in my backyard and I found a leaf from a rose bush. So I'm just going to take this and I'm gonna make what's called an impression.
And you're just pressing
And I'm
it
just pressing
into your
down,
dough?
and then you peel it off, and you can see, you might not be able to see it on the television, but you see the lovely veins of the back of the leaf.
It makes a nice texture.
Makes a nice texture. You can also use, if you have rubber stamps at home, you can use those to make an impression, and you would do it the same way. You would just take your rubber stamp, and you would just stamp it. And you get this really cool impression.
I want to make a little pendant for my robot
For your
friend.
robot, there you go. That would work.
I think he would love it.
So that is baking soda or cornstarch dough.
When it gets dry, does it harden all the way like clay does?
It does.
So you could paint it afterwards? Or
Absolutely.
you could, like seal it with Mod Podge or something?
Yes, you could.
Oh.
You can also bake it if you're really impatient like me.
Yeah.
You can put it in the oven on a cookie tray, and you could bake the objects, whatever you make your beads or your impressions or whatever. You would probably bake it at about 200 degrees, probably for about an hour.
Oh.
And it would get drier faster.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yes, patience is not my strong suit.
You know, we're all a work in progress.
That's right.
Artist, you have a lot of ideas that you can use over the summer. And I think that all of these things are pretty close to being in your house or in your recycling can. I want you to take a minute to think about all of the things we just showed you and remember to use them over the summer. And Miss Red made these beautiful words for us. I want to go over them with you really quick so that you remember and so that we all remember what we can do. So you can make sculptures with attachments. Remember your attachments with your recycled materials, your tape, your string, your scissors. These are important things to have, and you can make really cool things. You can make prints out of everything, as it would happen. We learned so many different ways to make prints today, which are fancy stamps. You make ink pads. You can find little stamps and impression makers all over your house that you can use. You can make pop-ups, little 3D paper guys using cuts and folds. And I feel like now that I've seen the little salt dough little guys over here, I want to make some little objects to put in my bookshelf. Like I could take a piece of paper and glue it this way so I had a little shelf and I could stack little treasures on top of it, which I think would be really fun. Because remember, Chewbacca is going to live in here inside of the big box house now because we gave each other so many ideas. This is why it's fun to talk about art with someone else. Oh, but by the way, do you see the beautiful coloring that's happening over here? Are you using your chalk paint?
I am, which works really well on these beads.
So you're painting cornstarch on top of cornstarch?
I know.
Huh, that's fun.
I know. It didn't look good on this, but it's looking really good on this.
It shows up really, really well. I can see it.
It's kind of
really
looking like watercolor.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even make things out of the dough and do the shadow art with them outside and hold them up on the paper.
Absolutely.
Those would be fun.
Yes, you could.
You could even take one and mold it around your finger to make a little finger puppet.
Finger puppets, absolutely. There's all kinds of things you can do with this clay.
That's what's great about art materials is you can use them together in so many different ways. All of our little lessons here can work together if you want them to. And it's the beauty of being an artist is you don't really have any limits. You have anything that you can dream of.
That's right.
It's my favorite part of being an art teacher is finding new things. Can you paint with bubbles? Well, let's experiment and find out, shall we? Try. Experiment. That's your main word.
And the impression I made on this, on the salt dough, can you guess what I used?
A shoe?
I did.
Oh.
Sometimes the bottom of your shoe has some pretty cool textures. So it's really, you take a little piece of your dough. Do you have good texture on your sneakers?
I think so.
We both have Toms on, so sometimes, you got really good texture.
I got texture.
So if you take your shoe, you can get this really wild. Hers has great lines. I don't know, does mine have a good texture?
Yours is kind of flat.
Flat? Yeah, I thought so.
They're a little bit more worn.
But you have this great impression that you can get on any kind of clay on the bottom of your shoe. And then you can make like a little mosaic with all different kinds of
tiles around next to each other.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're just an endless stream of possibilities over here.
Exactly.
And I'm hoping that you're getting some ideas, artists, so that you can start thinking of some fun summer projects that you want to do. I can't wait to see this chalk paint on actual chalk or on the sidewalk.
I know, it's really
cool.
cool.
That'll look really awesome because you have all these different colors that you can use next to each other.
That's right.
You can make a whole color wheel.
We could go right out in the parking lot right now and go paint.
Oh, we could. We could make happy little messages for everybody to read.
We might need to ask permission first, though.
I mean, that's a good choice in anything you do, really.
Yes,
asking
permission. Exactly.
Especially with all of these different art materials. Now, artists, whatever you choose to do, you may notice that you have a nice big mess at the end. It's important that you always clean up your messes. You made them, you should clean them.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to point that out because sometimes we forget and we get excited and we walk away to go blow bubbles and then we leave everything behind. And then someone comes out later and goes, "What's this?" So take a minute and clean yourselves up.
Absolutely.
It's part of the art studio process.
And wash your hands. Mine are full of cornstarch right now.
Oh yeah, I have some bubbles still stuck over here, and I'm pretty sure there's some food coloring on my elbow. Because in art, you never know where it's gonna get.
Yeah. And you gotta be a little bit careful with food coloring too, because sometimes it can stain. So you want to use it what's called sparingly, a couple of drops here and there. Add it very slowly to get the color that you want in whatever you're using, bubbles, just cornstarch and water. You just want to make sure that you don't want to add a whole tube. Plus it gets expensive. You don't want to do that. You just want to add it slowly.
It gets pretty thick too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Well, Miss Red, I really enjoyed making art with you today. And artists, we really miss you, and we can't wait to see you. And we hope you make art all summer because it's awesome.
I can't believe it's already summer.
I can't believe it either, you guys. This is it.
And I heard that it's Fun Friday.
It is Fun Friday, and school's out for summer.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
That is great.
We love it.
And you know what? You made it through this really tough end of the school year. We teachers are really, really proud of you.
So proud of you.
You worked at home. You worked hard at home. You worked hard for your teachers. And we will see you again soon.
Yes, thank you for joining us this whole time for At Home with APS.